There was so much new going on in this new year, and we're like 2 weeks in. It's great. It's like a great thing. I cut my bangs the other day, and I think they turned out pretty good. I started making my wedding dress, which you can watch if you want. Very exciting video. You can watch it if you're not my fiance Ian. And I started to sell my watercolor paintings, which is just so exciting for me because it's kind of like a lost art that I rediscovered. So here's how it happened. I painted a watercolor portrait of my sister's dog, Philly.
Never should have hit it there.
Look, he's just looking all over her. Billy, don't look at his face. Oh my god, is this paw under your face?
He's sitting on your head.
Can you get it from this angle?
For Christmas, for her for Christmas. And it turned out really well. And I was like, you know what? I forgot that I love painting with watercolors. And I actually did a paint along, like a Bob Ross paint along with my friends a couple weeks prior, and that turned out really well too. And my friends were like, what the hell? I was like, yeah, you know what? I forgot that I like to paint. And so I've been doing these pet portraits. I'm selling them through my Instagram, and it's been like the best change of pace for me. I am making it a new venture of mine to kind of make this a bigger thing. So with all of that excitement happening, I thought that we would kind of do a little paint video, and I'll show you how I'm painting these pet portraits. So let's get to painting. I thought it would be kind of fun to have this as like a time-lapse, you know, calm video, because I personally love watching those. That would be a nice change of pace, and I am really excited to share this with you guys because I definitely plan on doing more painting videos from here on out because I just love it.
We're gonna start with this beautiful man right here. And what I'm using for these is just basic watercolor paper and then some basic watercolor paints and some basic paint brushes and a very light pencil. I'm using a 4H to sketch these out. As you all know, I am not Bob Ross, and I can't just go onto my blank canvas and slap down some paint and it look amazing. So I always start off with a light sketch. I always use a very lightweight pencil. Like I said, I'm using a 4H pencil here, and to just kind of like sketch out the outline to get an idea of where I'm gonna slap down my paint. Like to get a general like outline and the proportions right and everything before I go in with paint. So I feel good about this, so I'm gonna jump in with paint now. So when I start out, I usually try and just get a very light base color down. I try and also get some of the shadowy, darker places so that I can just have a general idea of what's going on. And I like to get a lighter shade down first because I can always build that up later. But I like to just kind of get the general colors down and start going in with some of the shading and details. Eyes have always been my favorite thing to draw or paint or whatever it may be. I just love how detailed they are and how they can make any subject just really come alive and give a certain feel to the painting or drawing or whatever that you're creating. I think eyes are super special. For watercolor painting, I like to go in with the iris first, the color, and then I like to leave a white spot inside the eye, and then I go in later with the black, and I make sure to always leave a highlight in the eye. That's super important. It makes the eyes come alive that much more. I love watercolor because it's kind of hard to make like a true mistake, because you can always just go back over it or dab it out with your paper towel. Can I just say that I have been using this same paper towel for years. I don't know how long I've had this. I don't need a new one. I just don't need one, and I've been using it for probably since I was in high school for sure. It's almost been 10 years since I graduated high school. What? So I've had this paper towel for maybe 9 years. That's crazy. And you can see I've kind of been going in with more depth with different tones of brown and kind of adding some more detail as I go along. Something that I think is super important in trying to mimic someone or something like pets or people is taking into account all of the different tones and shades and colors that appear within this subject. So for instance, I took note of the pink around this dog's nose and his little mouth, chin, lips area. Lips. Do dogs have lips? I don't think so. But every color that you add is going to add so much more depth and interest. You know, you might not notice it when you're looking at the final product, but I always love, especially with doing these pet portraits, is adding undertones of pinks, reds, and yellows to kind of bring more depth into their fur. And this is actually super important with chocolate labs because they are very hard to paint. You know, any darker colored subject is going to be a lot harder. It is a lot harder to, you know, get that depth to kind of show because they don't have a bunch of different colorings and it's all very dark and it seems like it's all just dark brown, but it's not. There's actually those undertones of yellow and reds that are going on there. So I make sure to take notice of that and plop those where I see fit. Yes, my favorite part, I'm getting into adding the highlights, which is just plain white that I'm layering on top of this painting. Again, tying into the darker subject matter, it's very important, these highlights, because it separates those darks from the lights and it makes the lights come out so much more. So it's important to get those whites on top to really show where the sunlight is hitting their fur and making it glisten or shine. And if I weren't to add these highlights, especially on a chocolate lab like this, it would look very flat and kind of muddy, I guess. But adding in these highlights really identifies the high points of the figure from the dark low points and the shadows. Whenever I finish one of these, I'm like always obsessively going back and like adding some more highlights or some more shadows. I just like cannot stop. Okay, I think I'm done now. I think I'm done.
what I've been doing lately, and I'm really enjoying it. So I hope that you guys did too. You know, this painting thing kind of came out of nowhere and fell into my lap, but it seems meant to be because I'm really loving it. So I really appreciate everybody who watches, and I'm very excited to keep working on my wedding dress. I think that's gonna be my next video to tackle. I'm gonna be working on the skirt. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.